welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. That's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker, everybody.
Holla.
I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here, and this is Fourth and Pain. Be sure to join us each and every Sunday morning right here, 8 o'clock on 106.7 The Fan, and follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain. And Adam, it is that time of the week where we invite fans to ask you anything under the sun simply by sending a tweet using the hashtag #AskAdam. So it is their questions and your answers. Are you ready, my man?
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. We're going to start with a hardcore Redskins question from Steven Storrs, who writes in, how is our offense looking next season with RG3's knee injury? He was a high motivation this past season. What are your predictions for 2013?
From what I understand and everything that I hear, he's doing well in his rehab. It's early on, obviously, so he's still got a ways to go. But I think the plan is to have him back for next year. Let's say worst case scenario, let's say he's not able to play. We got this guy named Kirk Cousins, came in at the end of the Ravens game, pretty much shut the door, won that game for us, came in, beat the Cleveland Browns, played pretty well. So whether we have Robert, who obviously is our starter if he's healthy, or Kirk Cousins, who's proven himself to be a very good quarterback as well in this league, we're going to be perfectly fine on offense.
Another fan writes in, this time asking about the defense. They want to know, this is Xnanza1 on Twitter. Will the Redskins address needs in the secondary this offseason? I think we need a safety.
Well, it's interesting because we played almost the whole entire year without Brandon Merriweather. In fact, he played one game, and I believe he got 2 interceptions in that game, was the Defensive Player of the Week for the NFC in that game, and then he hurt his knee again. So we're going to have Brandon back. And then Jackson was suspended before the season, so he wasn't able to play this year. We can get him back, and those were our projected 2 starting safeties. And then behind them, we have guys like DJ Gomes, who, when we played the Saints the first game of the year, won the Defensive Player of the Game against Drew Brees, against that vaunted offense. And obviously that guy can play. He's got physical tools. He's very smart. And then a guy that I keep saying is underrated, undervalued, and Reed Doughty. He won our belt the last game of the year against the Seahawks at the end of last season. He recorded 2 sacks, probably the best game of his career, a guy who is really good on special teams. He's only supposed to play, a couple games every year, but consistently year after year he starts 8, 9, 10 games. He's just that guy that you can count on, that everyone kind of takes for granted. So we have guys who have played, we have guys coming back, and obviously anybody they draft for agency or they want to just bring in, hey, that's just more tools for the coaches to use.
And here's a question geared directly at you. Derek Mungia writes in, how many quarterback sacks can you get next season? I want to see more than 6, Adam. I have high expectations, he writes.
Hey, I have high expectations too. I'd like to see more than 6. I look around the league and I compare myself to some of the other 3-4 defensive ends, and I like to compare myself to the best. Calais Campbell out of Arizona had 8 sacks a couple years ago. Richard Seymour out of Oakland, when he was with the Patriots, his career high is 8. So to me, that's kind of where the bar is at. That's kind of where the highest bar is at for a 3-4 defensive end. I got 5 last year, the last time I was healthy. So my goal is somewhere between 5 and 8 as a 3-4 defensive end, somewhere in that range.
And I'm saving the best question for last. Definitely give this guy a follow, the real Danny Baker. He's at Danny Baker Jr. on Twitter. Adam, how does Coach Mike Shanahan keep his hair so sexy?
Oh, that is a great question. I think it starts with the shampoo. From what I understand, it's probably a Pert Plus or Head and Shoulders, but it's not that 2-in-1 stuff. That's for lazy people who don't really care about their hair, right, Chuck? And then I believe he goes to a great conditioner, probably, matches it up with Pert Plus, Head and Shoulders. Then he probably goes and gets a nice scalp massage, loosen up those hair follicles on the head. Probably goes to our team trader Larry Hess, gets a nice little scalp massage, and then he goes and gets trimmed. Probably makes our strength coach Ray Wright do a little trim of his head, and then you're supposed to brush your teeth like 100 times, chew your food 100 times. I believe he probably goes to Chuck Carroll, makes him brush out his hair 100 times, and then he makes him comb his. He doesn't use a comb, though. You got to use the brush because the comb, that's for amateurs. And then once he's done with that, he comes – you're liking this, huh? He probably goes over to Coach Haz's house, and he makes Coach Haz put on the mousse and the hairspray, and then he's ready to go, and he's ready to win Super Bowls.
Wow. Wow, it is a whole process, and here I simply thought he went to the barber and ran a comb through his hair each day. But no. Evidently, it's a whole elaborate process in which I'm intimately involved for some reason. I have no idea. But that
there is no cost cutters involved in this process. This is very detailed, my friends.
And that is how Mike Shanahan keeps his hair so sexy. And if you ever have a question for Adam Carriker, anything wrestling, NFL, life related, anything under the sun, tweet at Adam Carriker 94 or at Fourth and Pain using the hashtag AskAdam. We will respond to you on the air. But with that answered, it's time to turn our attention now to a little bit of wrestling, as this is the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion. This is Christmas for wrestling fans. This is the best time of the year, the most wonderful time of the year. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania now that the Royal Rumble is in the books. And Adam, this is the first time you and I have had an opportunity to talk about this on the air. What did you think about the Royal Rumble? Key takeaways here: John Cena winning the Rumble match and The Rock winning the title belt. What are your takeaways?
Well, don't forget, Daniel Bryan and Kane, we predicted that they would have a little dispute and eventually divide, and that would lead up into a match at WrestleMania. We predicted that would happen in the Rumble match itself, and it did, and it carried over to Monday Night Raw a little bit. Now you get into the Rumble match. You predicted John Cena because you're just enamored with John Cena and The Rock. I predicted Randy Orton because I don't want to see John Cena and The Rock, and I want to see them elevate Randy Orton to where he should be. John Cena wins, as you predicted, and as everybody knew, As everybody knew, The Rock came out and win. Now, I actually like the way they did this because it kind of bothered me that The Rock just comes back and he beats the biggest name currently in wrestling after being gone for 9 years, John Cena, and then he beats the next biggest name, CM Punk. And the way they did it is there's some controversy involved. And with the Shield interfering, well, we don't know for sure, but we know it was the Shield. And I like the way that CM Punk won the match, then the match was restarted, and then The Rock ends up winning. So I like how there was some controversy involved.
I like that, but then we find out on Monday night. Oh, by the way, popped huge. The highlight of my night, absolutely hands down, the highlight of my night was when Chris Jericho returned as the second entrant into the Royal Rumble. Dolph Ziggler says, "Let's get the party going," or whatever it is. And then Y2J comes out. Huge. You know what a big Y2J fan I am, so welcome back, Chris Jericho. You know what? I am a little bit disappointed, though. As proud of myself as I am a little bit disappointed, Adam, at the fact that this is playing out exactly how we thought it would. We have been talking about this not just in recent weeks. We've been calling this since last summer. I can remember a show probably in early September that we taped with Chad Dukes where we began to talk about this, and that's when the whole idea of Cena versus The Rock 2 first surfaced, and sure enough, here we are. Now then, the following night on Raw, big thing to take away. As it turns out, Paul Heyman is in cahoots with the Shield. On videotape, they have him talking to Brad Maddox, talking about paying him off for his involvement, talking about paying off the Shield, and then the Shield beats down Brad Maddox, and it sets up this whole thing. And then, Brock Lesnar comes out, F5's Vince McMahon, and so you got to wonder now, where is this going? Who is Brock Lesnar going to feud with headed into WrestleMania?
Well, we know who he's going to feud with. He's going to feud with Vince's son-in-law, the guy he beat at SummerSlam, or we're going to see a rematch of what happened at SummerSlam, which is Triple H versus Brock Lesnar, which I don't know that you predicted it, but I think you said something about that about a month ago to me, that you thought that would happen. And I'm not going to lie to you. It is a little predictable what's going to happen, what is happening, what's leading up to WrestleMania. I want to see some swerves. I want to see some curveballs. You know, I like Jericho coming out of the Rumble match, Godfather coming out in the Rumble match. I want to see some things I'm not expecting to see, and right now, to this point, it's very, very predictable.
I really don't know. The only wild card kind of remaining is what are they going to do with The Undertaker. The match that is still available at this point would be CM Punk versus The Undertaker, but Adam, you know, in reading some of the dirt sheets this past week, they've been saying that The Undertaker is kind of, 50-50s on the fence now about whether or not he wants to come back and wrestle this year, whether or not he's going to be healthy enough to be able to do that. Do I think that he and CM Punk can put on a spectacular show at WrestleMania? Absolutely, I do. But you can't exactly draw this out. You need to have an answer from Undertaker in the next week or two so that you can then set up an opponent for CM Punk at WrestleMania. But it's kind of like you just said. It's exactly what you just said. So much predictability. It makes me wonder whether or not people are actually going to pony up and buy WrestleMania this year. I mean, as a fan, take yourself out of the equation. Take the show out of the equation. Just as a fan, the way the card's shaping up, is this a show that you're interested in?
Well, I will say this. If it's going to be CM Punk, which it looks like it's going to be for Undertaker to face at WrestleMania, I'd be shocked if he didn't come back and defend the streak. He's not going to lose the streak via forfeit. He's going to come back, but you got to let CM Punk and The Rock play out through the Elimination Chamber, and then you can set up Undertaker and CM Punk. And it's the same reason you can't get any girls. We know exactly what's going to happen. We all know all the moves before it happens, and we need some surprises here. I mean, this is Christmas for the wrestling fans, and we need a curveball here, Chuck. Throw some kind of curveball out there. Wow us, Chuck.
Well, first of all, I may or may not be seeing someone. Second of all, here's the other thing.
Is he named Tuiasa Sopo?
No, my girlfriend is real to me, damn it.
Sammy's Manti Teo.
So, we do need something to come out, something to shock us, something to wow us. But here's the one thing that I do love about WWE is that during this time of year, inevitably, they always seem to get it right. So I'm not in any sort of position to push the panic button. Yes, some things are playing out to script, but I do think that creative team is going to throw us a curveball at some point, and we're going to have ourselves a hell of a WrestleMania card. It's just going to happen. So stand by for that.